right, a pilot, a youth pastor, and a state representative walk into a room. Okay, no, it's not a setup for a joke. I know it sounds like it. This is the story of three concerned American citizens with very different backgrounds who just didn't like the direction that our leaders in Washington were taking. So they decided to try, they'd make a change by running for Congress in last year's midterm elections. Now, before I speak to them, I want you to learn a little bit more about our guest today. James Lankford graduated the University of Texas and received a master's degree in divinity from the Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. For 13 years, he was the program director of Falls Creek, the nation's largest youth camp. Fed up with government growth and excessive spending, he ran for Congress and won Oklahoma's 5th Congressional District. Bill Huizenga worked at his family's gravel company in Michigan for most of his life and had a successful real estate career. He became a Michigan state representative, but worried about his kids' and grandchildren's future. Bill ran for the United States Congress.
Out-of-control Washington spending is wrecking the economy, killing job creation, and mortgaging our kids' future is just plain wrong.
Bill now represents Michigan's 2nd District in the United States Congress. A third-generation member of the military, Chip Kravac is a 24-year veteran who served as a pilot for the Navy before becoming a commercial pilot for Northwest Airlines. Saying future generations should have the chance to pursue the same American dream his grandparents came to America searching for, Chip ran for public office for the first time.
I lived the life of a normal, everyday American, and that's what has lost touch in Congress.
Chip won Minnesota's 8th Congressional District. And joining me now from their home districts, Minnesota Representative Chip Kravac, Michigan Representative Bill Huizenga, and Oklahoma Representative James Lankford. Thank you all for being with us here today. James, I want to start with you. I'm going to ask each of you this question. There must have been a moment in your life when you just said, okay, that's it, I'm going to run for Congress. Tell me that defining moment, that over-the-edge moment that happened for you.
Well, I can tell you I've always been passionate about the issues and ideas. That's been something that's been a part of my family my whole life. I grew up, I was the son of a librarian. My mom was always engaged in issues. But for me, it really came down to September of 2008 and a real sense of calling in my life. Never been involved as a candidate for anything, but really had a moment where I really sensed God was calling me to do this. It wasn't some mystical adventure. It was just a sense of, I have to do this. I'm going to be an old man one day telling my grandchildren about the time I didn't do what I knew I had to do.
And Bill, what about you? What was that moment where the light came on?
Yeah, and actually maybe slightly different. I grew up with a family. Dad had been involved in a local political scene, and it was always just part of the fabric of our family. The two things that we talked about around the dinner table were business and politics. And so I sort of had this thought, though, that I would do it later in life. I found myself in a spot where my predecessor, who was a great guy, budget hawk, and all those things, had decided to run for governor here in Michigan, and that really opened up the spot for me. And I just knew I had to do this for my kids and my grandkids that I haven't even met yet.
Chip, you'd been in the military, so I mean, you had sort of a government career, then a private sector career with Northwest Airlines as a pilot. Was there that defining moment for you and you said, enough is enough, by golly, I'm running for Congress?
It was August 19th. Exactly. I was a retired Navy pilot. I had never really been involved in politics before. But on August 19th, I went to Congressional Representative Obastar's office, and I requested a town hall meeting. We were in that office for over 2.5 hours requesting a meeting, and at the end of that meeting, they basically said, we're sorry, but the congressman is too busy to meet with you. This was not the type of representation that I believe I fought for in the military. This was not the type of representation that I wanted my children to have, so I got involved.
Now, all of you decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I want to ask about the biggest surprise you have had getting to Congress. Bill, you've had a little bit of background, you know, being in the office of a congressman, so you might have the least surprise, but let me start with you. Was there a surprise being a congressman versus working for a congressman?
The thing that has struck me the most going down to Washington is still a lot of the remnants of racial animosity that underlie so many things. It's oftentimes we see the political and we see the philosophical. We don't always see that cultural side, and I hope we can change that as well. And you would think after we've elected the first African-American president in the United States, that would change a little bit of that culture. And I don't know if that's Well, I think it would probably be naive to say that there isn't also that politics of race that gets injected into it on both sides. But that's something I has really sort of stuck in my mind as getting there in the last couple of weeks.
We're going to get those same answers from Chip.